And carried. Welcome, Mr. Forster, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Your Worship. Council, congratulations to all the award winners. And a shout out to all my innkeepers for coming and supporting me. Thank you, guys. Every citizen has a right to criticize government without fear of prosecution. I'm a little nervous here. I don't do this very often. The respectful workplace policies in other municipalities are mostly corporate policies for staff, not for the public. There are other remedies already in law that address public behavior. Courts have spoken, and there are procedural bylaws while in council meetings. Last week, council went into a closed meeting for training. Initially, I was confused why the public was not included, because it would make sense that when a policy was being used to discipline the public should show up and be part of the training. But over the weekend, I had an aha moment, and I started reviewing communications by council members and things that have been said in the news by Mayor Ritzma, and got a line on what the official response to all this was. I'll just do a couple of quotes here. An internal investigation was conducted which found that harassment and threats of violence were made to both city staff and members of the public. The city has an obligation to take some protective action. The suspensions are justified. So there are people who have been suspended, banished from coming to council meetings as well as to city facilities. The city strategy appears to be not to be particularly specific, and I understand that's all about privacy and all that sort of stuff, but what keeps on coming out is it's all about violence and harassment, deliberately misleading the public. To be clear, at that particular February 26th meeting, there were no threats of violence or harassment in any of the complaints by the people who delegated that night. Not one. There was another incident, and I understand that's probably why the police officer's here, but the people who actually made delegations did not scream, yell, threaten, use terrible language, all that list that goes down, didn't happen. Now, as well, if any threats of violence are made, the actual workplace policy directs the police be called. So that's, again, why the police are here. Mayor Ritzma, in a recent interview, said, when you believe that someone has been harmed and you don't address it, then the next time someone else may be fearful to appear in front of council. Well, I have to say, actually, if I'm afraid of what I'm going to say is going to get me into trouble, I'm more afraid now than I ever would have been to speak at council. And I'll probably be getting a letter next week. I'll try not to, but I'll probably
I'm just caution that I think your delegation was around having sessions open to the public, and I'm just wondering.
No, my actual discussion is actually about how this training for the on the workplace respect for the workplace policy, how the training actually probably didn't address, because I'm just about to lead into that, what's going on, because one of the comments, because it really is, and this is what I understand it, and I'll go into it first in a second, it's an internal process and not subject to council review. And this is actually where I have a problem. When senior administration have to remind council that one of the things that you're responsible for is to ensure the accountability and transparency of all operations of the municipality, including the activity of senior management of the municipality. So in the policy consideration section of the Respect for Workplace policy, it outlines the process that an assigned director and the CAO must go through. The first thing that they have to do is they have to make sure that a request has been thoroughly investigated. The city's lawyer has provided synopsis of allegations that have gone out to the defendants. And even though a redacted complaint form was actually promised, and the lawyer's letter is vague and hard to follow, and there are no reports with specific times, place, statements made. There is just unspecific innuendo. 2, communication with the alleged offender has been adequate. No one from the city communicated with any of the alleged offenders prior to receiving the banishment notice. If they had, some clarity could have been provided as to the truthfulness of the allegations. 3, the alleged offender has not attempted to provide added information when contacting an employee. Quite frankly, I have no idea what that means, but certainly no opportunity was given to the people who had been accused of doing things to provide additional information. I will not litigate the case because it's not the time and the place to do it, but my wife never made any comments to staff. She primarily directed her communications to staff through emails, and so that evening she made a presentation, and her primary focus was on reports and the documents that supported those reports. She did have interactions with counselors, one indicating disappointment at how she voted, another saying hello, and a third saying thank you for the kind gesture of providing water. So we don't know. We're trying to figure out what she did wrong, but Barb would be certainly able to respond through either the video, which shows her in the video for 90% of the meeting, as well as witness presence. The point of the matter that I'm addressing, Your Worship, is that the signed director and the CAO did not follow the procedure outlined in the policies supported by that the council supported in 2023. They acted as prosecutor, judge, and jury. They gave the accused no opportunity to see the allegations, nor the ability to defend themselves. And on appeal, the same people will decide how to proceed. So in my opinion, that defines what a kangaroo court is, and that's why we're all upset. So, councillors, the process is flawed, and I would again say, ensure the accountability and transparency of the operations, including activities of the senior management. And right now, this whole experience is the talk of other municipalities across Ontario and in the community. I've heard several people, both inside and outside Stratford, say this is your council's shindy moment. So actually I'm directing this at council because council can actually take action here. You can stop this insanity. It's wasting time, taxpayers' money, it's creating division, and making Stratford, I hate to say it, look ridiculous. And I would like to ask council to pass a motion to rescind the respectful workplace policy as it pertains to residents, and to set aside any outstanding judgments, and go back to the drawing board and get it right this time. Because councillors, you can make a difference. You have the opportunity to do that. You can stand behind your residents, or you can not. But you can't have it both ways. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Or? None.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, Madam Clerk.
Through your worship,